Edward and the Express. Edward is one of the oldest engines on Sir Topham Hatt's railway. He is the same color as Thomas and the same size as James. Edward is a mixed traffic engine, just like James, which means he can pull coaches and cars. Edward often works as a banker engine, helping other engines who need it up Gordon's Hill. One morning, Sir Topham Hatt came to Tidmouth Sheds. He had very important news for Edward.
"Edward," boomed Sir Topham Hatt, "Gordon has extra express coaches today, and he can't pull them alone. So," continued Sir Topham Hatt, "I want you, Edward, to pull the express with Gordon. You must travel across the whole island and back by tea time."
Edward was unsure. He hadn't pulled the express in a very long time, but he didn't want to let Sir Topham Hatt or Gordon down. "Yes, sir," and Edward puffed away. Later, Edward arrived at Knapford Station. There were lots and lots of carriages. "Oh, dearie me, there are so many carriages," Edward puffed. Edward was soon coupled up to the express coaches. "I've got to be strong, fast, and stern. I must pump my pistons as hard as I can, just like Gordon." And with a huff and a puff and a whoosh and a wheesh, Edward clanked slowly out of Knapford Station. But the shunter had forgotten to couple the last composite coach and brake coach to the train. But Edward had no idea. On the main line, Edward puffed and chuffed as quickly as his wheels would carry him. "Strong, fast, and stern, that's what I'll be. I will pull the express without confusion or delay." James exclaimed. "Are you all right, Edward?" James chuffed. He was worried for his friend. Edward wheezed. "I'm puffing my hardest, James. I'm not as strong as I used to be, but I'm not ready to give up." Just then the guard blew his whistle, and with wheels slipping, Edward puffed away. James was concerned. Later, Edward was resting at Crosby Station, waiting for his passengers to board the train. Porters and people were rushing and hurrying. It took a very long time. Edward was getting annoyed. He didn't like being late. Come on, Edward huffed. "I can't be late." The passengers were upset. They didn't like being rushed about. Edward felt terrible. "I'm sorry," he said. "I just don't want to let Sir Topham Hatt or my friends down," he wheezed. The passengers understood, and they were sorry for getting mad at Edward, and they boarded the train at once. As he steamed through Wellsworth Station, Edward started to feel weak. And then, with a horrible groan, Edward huffed and puffed to a steaming halt. "Oh no, gasped Edward. He was a sitting duck, trapped on the main line and unable to turn another axle. He had developed a hot box from all the rushing around, but he wasn't going to give up. The passengers leaned out the window. "You can do it, Edward," they cheered. "Go on, old boy." With the boost in confidence, Edward knew he could do it. "I can do this," Edward puffed slowly to himself, and he slowly started to turn his wheels. With a chuff and a puff, Edward's train started to move. The first coach helped the second helped the third, and so on. "You've done it, Edward, well done," cheered his passengers. Edward came to the bottom of Gordon's Hill. His wheels slipped and he felt very ill. Gordon raced past him, going the opposite way.
Go on, Edward, Gordon called. You are a credit to the railway.
And he disappeared into the distance. Gordon is right, Edward wheezed breathlessly. I am a credit to the railway. He huffed and puffed, and soon Edward was at the top of the hill. He steamed down the other side and towards Marin's station. As Edward puffed towards Marin, diesel oil passed. Old iron, he snickered. Edward just ignored him. I'm a really useful engine, Edward puffed with pride. And when he finally pulled into Marin station, Emily was there. She was picking up passengers to take to Blacklock. Bust my buffers, Emily puffed. You look very worn out, Edward. You should tell Sir Topham Hatt so he can get you fixed. Edward sighed as he let off steam. You're right, Emily, he huffed, but I'm pulling the express. I can't just drop everything now, he wheezed. And still clanking, Edward puffed away. Edward struggled and strained on his return trip to Knapford. He felt worse and worse. His wheels were slipping more. Nasty black smoke billowed from his funnel, and he was running low on coal. I can do it. I will do it, he huffed to himself. Now the passengers were anxious. They thought Edward was about to burst. As Edward trembled along towards the junction to the loop line, suddenly it happened. Crack! Blowing steam in all directions, Edward came to a groaning stop at Kiloban. The passengers were worried. They'd definitely be late coming home. One passenger, a former railwayman, came to inspect Edward. Don't worry, he said calmly. I've worked with engines of your class before. I'll get you whirring in no time. Edward smiled. Oh, thank you, sir, he wheezed. The man fiddled with Edward's gauges and controls until finally, I've got steam, Edward cheered. The passengers were delighted, and they and Edward thanked the man for his help. It was late in the evening when Edward puffed into Knapford. Sir Topham Hatt was delighted to see him.
I am glad you managed to get home, he boomed. You have tried your best to be a really useful engine, and you've more than proved to me and the passengers that no matter the age, any engine is willing to get their train home.
That night, Edward went back to Tidman's sheds. Gordon and James cheered him on as he backed down between them.
You put on a marvelous show today, Edward,
Gordon huffed grandly. Absolutely, agreed James. You really were magnificent, Edward.
Well done, Edward. Well done, to admit it. Oh yeah, it's very good. Cheers for Edward!
And with everyone still cheering and giving him praise, Edward went happily to sleep. Edward smiled from buffer to buffer, and he didn't need anyone else to tell him that he'd been a really useful engine.